Background removal or green screen? Which should you choose? Why would you do this? What do you need to set up for each, and how to make it look the best you can in your environment? Hopefully I can help make this a little simpler for you today. Welcome to the channel. My name is Verbal, and I'm a part-time streamer, full-time IT professional. My goal is to help you understand the world of streaming, computers, and other tech at a more entry level, so you can decide what works best for you and your situation. In today's video, we're going to look at changing our background. We'll focus on background removal software like NVIDIA's Broadcast, and a more physical approach using green screens. We'll look at the pros and cons of each, how to set each of these up, and best practices for each of them. So what are the reasons that you may choose a software solution or a physical solution? It all depends on your needs and your resources. Do you have the space to set up a green screen and lighting?
Space!
Do you have a powerful video card that you can dedicate some of your resources to? Do you just need to remove your background, or do you need a crisp, clean, professional look? It all depends on your individual needs. There's no right or wrong answer. Let's take a look at each option, the setup and resources needed, and what each looks like. NVIDIA first introduced the NVIDIA Voice software in April of 2020. It was a revolutionary piece of software that was able to remove unwanted background noise with the power of your graphic card.
All right, so I got a leaf blower, a Dyson vacuum, and a fan on the floor. Okay, the effect is enabling. Okay, right now, this is RTX voice enabled.
Nowadays, it's called NVIDIA Broadcast, encompassing more than just background noise. You can download NVIDIA Broadcast from the following webpage. I will leave a link to this in the description below. Please note that this program does require you to have at least an RTX 2060, a Quattro RTX 3000, or a Titan RTX video card or better. Other requirements can be found by clicking on this link. Once downloaded, double-click on the exe file and let it install to the default location. When you first open the program, you will see this window with 3 tabs across the top: microphone, speakers, and camera. Please note that the more services you use within the video broadcast will impact the performance of your video card. The microphone tab will allow you to remove noises from your own microphone. Speaker tab will allow you to do the same for audio outputting to the speaker or a headset. So if your friends are constantly eating chips on a Discord call with you, you can remove that annoyance. But today we're going to focus on the camera tab. Clicking on the camera tab will bring you these options: the camera source, its resolution, and the effects. It's worth noting that you can only apply these effects to one camera at a time. So choose your camera, choose your resolution that you want to output. Next to the camera selection, there's also a cog wheel where you can click on to change the settings on your camera, like brightness, contrast, etc. Below the camera source are the effects. Now, at the time of this recording, there are only 7 effects, but this could change as NVIDIA updates the app. There is background blur, background replacement, background removal, auto frame, video noise removal, eye contact, and vignette. Background blur does what it says. It blurs out the background while leaving you in focus. The software will define your edges in order to apply the effects to the remainder of the screen. Even as you move around, it will track your body movements as best as it can. The strength of this blur can be adjusted by the slider here, as well as choosing performance or quality settings. Performance will use your graphics card less while sacrificing the look of the effect. Good for those computers who are just meeting the minimum requirements. Quality will make the effects look better, but will rely on your graphics card more. My computer's running an RTX 4060 Ti, so I don't really see the difference between them. But if you experience problems with an effect, and this is an option, choose performance over quality. Background replacement is just that. Software will once again define your outlines and remove your background to replace it with something of your choosing. You can select any image or video that you would like to have as your background by clicking on the folder icon here and navigating to your chosen file. Switching backgrounds is just as easy as choosing a new file to display. Depending on how busy your actual background is will determine on how easy it is for the software to outline you for the separation. Additionally, try to make sure that what you're wearing does not match the background as best as you can. Background removal works the same as replacement, except for it just removes the background completely. This would be good if you're using another program and want to use their backgrounds, or want to just insert yourself in a corner of a video like this. Auto frame will just allow the program to select the best framing of you for the camera automatically. I feel that this is something that can be achieved with most zoom options in most programs, but if you just want to set it and forget it, here you go. If you're unhappy with the zoom, you still do have the ability to change it. Video noise removal is a beta effect that I'm assuming will just remove any artifacts in your video due to a low resolution camera. Think of it as a smoothing filter for your camera. There is a weak and a strong option, but there's not too much of a change that I see aside from changing some of the color in my background. Eye contact does just what it says. It makes you look like you're always looking at the camera, even though when you're looking away. For instance, like when I'm shooting this video, yet reading from a script. You may not have noticed that I was even doing that, but if I turn the effect off now, you can see exactly where I'm looking. This can be good for creating engagement with the viewers, or if you want to keep eye contact in that virtual meeting that you're having. Vignette creates a soft border around you. This can be as weak or wide of a focus as you want, or a very strong focus, almost like a ring around you. This allows you to fade out the edges of your camera softly. You can also enable face tracking in this effect, and that will move around with you, or leave it off, and it'll just center the vignette on the screen. You do have the ability to add up to 2 effects onto any camera at any one time. So if you want to do a background replacement with a eye contact, you can. Do note though that if there's anything that may impact performance, you may get a warning. If you want to remove any of these effects, just choose the remove this effect from the dropdown. So you choose your effects. Now what? How do you get the results that you're seeing in an NVIDIA broadcast into your streaming or meeting software? That's just as simple as selecting the NVIDIA broadcast device when you select your camera. So is this a good option? If you have the resources to spare in your computer and you don't want to spend the money or have the space to set up a green screen, then yes, it's a good alternative. It's easy to configure, works surprisingly well, and does not take a lot of setup. And if you have an Elgato camera and use the Camera Hub software, you can download SDKs from NVIDIA to use these effects directly in the Camera Hub itself, reducing the need for separate software to make this work. However, depending on your video card, you may notice a blur around yourself as it's not as clean as a physical green screen. You may catch parts of your hair or your fingers or such popping in and out of your background. Proper lighting will help with this, and setting yourself apart from your background is also advised. The other issue is the video card, as this only works with RTX 2060 video cards and higher. The price of video cards has started to come down at the time of this recording, but it's still a major investment if you're just starting to stream or you need this for a work or home solution. While Zoom and Teams do offer background replacements in their programs, they may not look as good as this dedicated program. I will express again that since this is using your video card to process all of these effects, you may notice a performance hit if you're trying to stream, as well as do any other major video processing, encoding, or gaming. Now let's look at a physical green screen. Here's what you'll need. Something green. And no, I'm not trying to be funny. It can be a collapsible green screen like you can find online, or a pop-up green screen, a green cloth, or even a painted green wall. As long as it's a vibrant green color that can be lit evenly, that's really the only requirement. Next, you will also need some lights. I would suggest at a minimum 1 to 2 lights to light up the green screen, and then at least 1 light to light yourself separately. Ideally, you will want some space between you and the green screen. The more space you have, the less color spill there will be. This occurs when green color reflects light onto you, creating a green hue. The more separation between you and the screen, the less reflection there will be, and make for a better edge for your face and body. Additionally, the closer you are, the more chance that there will be shadows cast from you onto the screen, which creates a color variation that makes it more difficult for the filter to see what is green and what is not. I'm going to show you how I set up my green screen in this space, which is a controlled area. I have very little external light. I can control all of the lights in my space, and I have room to set up the screen behind me. Then I will show you a less than ideal space, and we'll set up 2 different types of screens there. Firstly, since I have a wide angle shot, I found I needed to use 2 different types of green screens in my space. I have a 74-inch wide by 77-inch tall pop-up green screen, which was the widest I could find at the time, and a 5-foot by 6-foot collapsible green screen. It's important to light your screen separate from yourself, as one, it reduces the amount of shadows on the screen, and two, you may not need to have your lights as bright and will therefore be easier on your eyes. For the purpose of this video, I will refer to them as screen lights and subject lights. I have 2 lights in my ceiling that I set to their whitest, brightest setting. These lights are my screen lights. I have 2 other ceiling lights behind the screen and 2 more in front of the main screen lights that I have found assist in creating the light in the room I need to illuminate the screens properly. I have found that lights with some kind of diffuser works best, whether that's a built-in diffuser or you use a sheet of paper or even bounce the light off of a wall or ceiling. With some LED lights you can find online, the LEDs are not diffused and create hot spots when lighting up the screens. These hot spots change the color of the screen and can make it more difficult to key out the green when using your software. We want to evenly light the screen as best as possible to make it easier to remove our background. With the screen lights sorted out, now let's talk about the subject lights. In my current setup, I use 2 Elgato key light arrows mounted to my right and higher with a downward angle, and another to my left even with my camera pointed not quite directly at me. Both are set to color temperature of 5500K. The upper right light is a 12% brightness, while the lower left is set to 8%. This gives me a nice even lit look while I make sure that I pop from my background. If you can, an edge or hair light is also helpful, but it's not needed. There are many different visual looks you can go for with lighting. Choose the look that you like the best. I have also used ring lights in the past, as well as those smaller 4x6 inch LED photo lights. Whatever lights you use, just make sure to light your green screen separate from your subject as best as you can for the best results. Now that the lights are all set up, let's look at the software we're going to use. For productivity software like Zoom and Teams, there are options in their settings to remove the background and an option for if you have a green screen or not. Should be pretty straightforward on how to set those up. If you would like to see a video going through the setup on those programs, leave a comment below, and if there's enough interest, I'll get a video put together for that. But for this video, I'll be using my favorite streaming software, OBS, or Open Broadcast Studio. For this example, I would suggest creating a new scene, especially if this is the only camera you have and you want a scene with your background and one without. So we'll name the scene Green Screen Cam. Click on the plus symbol in the source or right click and select Add. And we want to add a video capture device. If you already have your webcam in your OBS already, you can click on Add Existing and then select that camera. Otherwise, name your device appropriately. Frame your camera as you want, and once you're happy, we will right-click on the scene, not the camera. Select Filters, and then at the bottom of the effect filters here, we're going to click the plus or right-click and select Add. We're going to add a chroma key. You can start off just by choosing green if your green screen is properly lit. If your green screen is not evenly lit, then you can click on custom color from the dropdown. You will want to make sure that your filter is turned off at this point, so you can click on the eye here to turn off the filter. Then click on select color and the color palette will appear. If you are unsure of what color green your screen actually is, you can select pick screen color. This will bring up a little crosshair and you can then hover over any point in your green screen, click on it, and it will select that color. You can always come back here and change this if necessary if it's not the correct green. Once you have your color selected, click OK, and then re-enable the filter again by clicking on the eye, and you should see the color that you have selected removed or grayed out. Regardless if you had to pick a custom color or if you just kept it green, you should see a portion of the preview window grayed out. This is the filter removing that color. Next are a bunch of sliders that will help you fine-tune the chroma key. First is similarity. When you move this slider to the left, it should bring back more of the green color, and moving it to the right will eventually remove everything. You want to find that sweet spot where it removes the green color without starting to remove the other colors. This will also be the time where you'll see if there's any hot spots from your green screen lights that you may need to adjust. You will want to get as close to a nice clean line around your subject as possible, but it's okay if it's not perfect yet. There are other sliders that will help with that. The next slider is smoothness. This one kind of blurs your edges around the color removal. The lower number gives you a hard edge, while larger numbers will soften that edge. Try to find yourself a balance that you are happy with, and remember that any changes made to each of these sliders may affect the others. Key color spill reduction is how aggressively it will remove the keyed color around your edges, like any color spill around your hair. Too aggressive and your image will turn grayscale. Too little and there may be a green line around your subject. Once again, you will need to find that sweet spot that you are happy with. You will need to test out all 3 of these settings in order to get the best look for you. The remaining sliders don't affect color removal so much as it improves the look of your camera. I would suggest adjusting these either in your camera software or within OBS Configure Video in the camera properties before attempting any adjustments here. There are also many other filters that can be applied to adjust your camera's color gamma. Once you fine-tune your chroma key to your liking, you can click on close. You should now see you in the preview window on a black background. Now you can take this scene and nest it inside of any other scene that you want and make it look like you are sitting right in the action. But this was set up in a room specifically designed for this. Everything here is controlled. What if your environment is not as controlled or ideal? Let's take a look at that kind of setup. Here we are in the room where I stream my Saturday morning cartoons. This is not exactly the best environment to stream in. I have a doorway up here that lets in a lot of light. I also have these windows and I only have one overhead light to work with. So I'm going to try to manage my exterior light as best as possible. I put a blanket over the front door to make sure I limit the light coming in from there. I close the blinds where the front windows are as well. And this reduces the amount of uncontrollable light that I have in this room. I have these two Dasny D50 lights that I'm going to be using as my key lights. These will light up my green screen and a little bit of me as well. In addition, I'm going to be using this ring reader light to light up myself, or use that as a subject light. I have a diffuser that I've created for this thing because the LED light is a little too harsh. So let's get started on setting up the green screen. First thing, we're going to need a green screen. I don't have one here. Let me go grab one. For this, I'm using my 5 foot by 6 foot collapsible green screen, setting it on the couch here. And as you can see, the image is not exactly all that great. This is with the chroma key enabled. You can see that there's some hot spots coming around me from the light up in the ceiling, as well as creating shadows to my left. The lighting on my face also isn't really all that great, so I need to improve this. First thing to do is we try lighting up the green screen itself. Using the D50 lights aimed directly at the green screen. As you can see, that is a much better image already, just in the clarity of the camera coming from the webcam. Enabling the chroma key, you can see that the video background that I have running is working perfectly. There's no hot spots. However, there is a lot of shadows being cast on my face. It's not a lot of frontal light on the subject. So I'm going to enable the ring reader light, which does do a good job at lighting up my face, while the D50 lights light up the green screen. Once you have yourself lit properly, you can remove your background completely and insert yourself in any video, background image, or gameplay that you want to. And this image looks really good. I'm really happy with this. I like how this looks. I think it's going to pass really, really well. But wait, what if our green screen isn't quite that close and we want to light it in a slightly different way to utilize the green screen itself? Here, I'm going to get rid of the collapsible green screen, and in its place, I'm going to bring in my pop-up. Now this one sits a little further back, which means I need more light cast onto the green screen itself in order to light the green screen and give a really good, clean image. This image isn't terrible, but it can be a lot better. So we're going to take the D50 lights and we're going to move them closer to the green screen itself, focusing more of the light on the green screen than we are focusing it on the subject. Now, when I sit back down here, we have both of these lights on each corner pointed directly at the green screen. Not so much light coming on me. See, the background removal looks nice and clean. The video image comes into the background, looks really nice. There's no kind of green edging around me whatsoever, but my face is very dark. A lot of harsh shadows being cast on my face. So one thing that we can do is move the subject light closer to the subject. See if that will aid in giving us more light on the subject, allowing us to differentiate us from the background and allow us to pop out a little bit more. But I still have some very harsh lighting because of the small reading light and the ceiling light. You can see here on the video image, it doesn't look quite bad, but I'm not seeming like I'm in the shot. So we're going to replace this reading light with something a little bit more brighter. Here I have the new Elgato Neo key light. This light is definitely a lot brighter than the reading light is, and it allows me to control the temperature better as well as the brightness. You can see here how I have it set up directly over top of my laptop. I'm going to enable the Elgato Control Center to turn on the light. You can see it's not very bright to begin with, but it gives a lot of light directly back. And there's the key lights moved closer to the green screen, not so much focusing on me. So with the subject light on the subject brighter, the key lights on the background brighter, we're getting a much better image here to use for a green screen. And here you can see I've inserted myself into some gameplay, and the complete background removal. You can see around Pikachu here, there's no green line whatsoever around him. There's no spill light coming onto him that would be affected from the green screen. I think this looks great. And there we go. That is setting up a green screen in a not great environment. So there you go. 2 easy ways of setting up a green screen so you can either replace your background or insert yourself into a video or scene. Which way is better really depends on your environment, equipment, and budget. It can be as cheap as a green cloth and some simple lights, or as easy as using a piece of software. Just make sure that you don't wear a similar color green when you're using your green screen, unless that is an effect you are going for. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, consider liking the video, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell so you know when I post my next one. I hope I've helped make a little bit more sense out of your tech today. I appreciate you spending the time today watching this, and I will see you next time.